Hi everyone, Matteo here. In this video I want to answer a lot of questions regarding how the water should be in the boiler while I make the moka pot. It should be hot, cold, and at what level. This is a very important aspect because depending on the quantity and or the temperature of the water that we place in the boiler, the outcome in extraction can be different. Let me explain. First of all, to make this video, I've collected data for the past 8 months. The numbers that you're going to see in the videos are just an example, so don't take these numbers as a guideline. To show you the difference in extraction, I will make 4 mokas, each of them with a different way of preparing the water in the boiler. All the other brewing variables are going to remain the same across all the mokas. The same coffee, with the same grind size, the same dose in the basket, and the same way of brewing on the stove. Okay, in the first moka I place 140 grams of water at room temperature. 140 grams with a 3 cups Bialetti moka pot that I'm using in this video is basically the water level underneath the valve. Moka on the stove at low gas power and wait for the coffee to come out. You can see that the first drop of coffee came out at around 4 minutes with a temperature of 66 degrees Celsius. Now wait until the coffee comes out. Let's see how long it takes. So 4 minutes and 35 seconds and the end temperature around 93-94 degrees Celsius. Now with the yield, put the coffee on the side. Then after I brew all the mokas, I'll check TDS and the extraction. In the second moka, I will still using the water at room temperature, but I will place only 120 grams. Same coffee, same way of prepping, and on the stove. With this moka you can see that the first drop of coffee happened faster than the previous one, at 3 minutes and 24-25 seconds. And also at a lower temperature, 57 degrees Celsius. Let's wait to finish to brew all the coffee. And you can see that also the end temperature is lower, 83 degrees Celsius. Basically 10 degrees less the previous one. With the yield, and also this one goes on the side. Okay, for the third moka, I will preheat the water at 85 degrees Celsius, so it will be hot water, and I will place 140 grams of this. Now place the moka on the stove, and let's see what happens. With this one, you can notice the first drop coming out faster, 2 minutes 37 seconds, and hotter, 68 degrees Celsius. Then the first moka, with the same amount of water but at room temperature. That of course because of the higher temperature of water that we place in the boiler since the beginning. The end temperature of the coffee is also high, and later we will see how this will affect the extraction. Now I'll weigh the yield like I did for the first two, and also this one goes on the side. Now for the last one I keep the 85 degrees Celsius water, but I place only 120 grams in the boiler. Now place it on the stove and let's see when it comes out. So in the pattern I saw before, I'm expecting the water to come out faster than the previous 3. And in fact this is what's happening. 1 minute and 58 seconds. The temperature of the coffee coming out is at 60 degrees Celsius, and let's wait until we finish the brew for the end temperature, 90 degrees. Also this one was the fastest between the 4 mokas, 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Now I weigh the yield and I noticed that the yield is slightly higher than the second one, even if we have the same amount of water in the boiler. Probably the higher temperature inside the boiler created more pressure that pushed more water out from the basket. This will definitely have an effect on the extraction, and we will see this in a second. Now let's start to compare the coffee by getting the TDS and calculating the extraction. The TDS of the first coffee is 3.54%. Now calculate the extraction, TDS multiplied the yield, divided the grams in the basket. And it gives me 25%. And this is the extraction. Now let's see the second one. The second TDS is higher, 4.06. So this is higher than the first one, as I was expecting. and the extraction is, same calculation, okay, the extraction is 23.3%, lower than the first one, and I was expecting this as well. This is the difference between two coffees that have been brewed with the same temperature of water, at room temperature, but with two different quantities in the boiler. The first one 140 grams and the second one 120 grams. The first one will be less intense but with higher extraction, when the second one higher intensity but with a lower extraction. This is because the first mocha has more water passing through the coffee. And when there is a lot of water passing through the coffee, it will increase extraction because this water will extract more solutes, but also it will make the coffee a bit more watery, so it will reduce the intensity. Okay, now let's see with the third one what we get. TDS is 3.62%, so it's higher compared to the first one. And this is because of the higher temperature of the water in the boiler, even if they have the same amount of water. And automatically the extraction will be a bit higher, 25.3%. Okay, not that much, but still higher. Okay, now the last one, TDS 3.93%. In this case is lower than the second mocha, even if the fourth one has a higher temperature inside the boiler, because as we noticed before, we had a higher yield, so it was 100 grams instead of the 92 from the second mocha, and this higher amount of water, it decreases the intensity and for sure is going to make a higher extraction. Let's see, the TDS multiplied the yield divided 16, that is the grams in the basket, 24.6% in extraction, 1.3% more than the second mocha, the one with the same amount of water, but with a water at room temperature. The difference between these two mochas is because the higher difference in yield. And one was 92, the other one was 100. And that's because during the extraction on the stove, that higher temperature gave us more pressure that pushed more water out from the chimney, dropping the intensity of the coffee and increasing the extraction. Now you're going to ask me, yeah, Matteo, cool, but what does this all mean? It means that different level and different temperature of water inside the boiler have an impact on the extraction of the coffee. But how can we take this information to achieve the best from our coffee? Placing the water until the level of the valve, it will extract more solids from the coffee. Not only because there will be more water passing through the coffee, but also because the water will have a higher temperature during brewing. In fact, with the coffee that I use in this video, I had for both first and third mochas over-extracted coffee, with a bitter taste and a harsh finish, basically not overall very pleasant. To be more precise, this harshness was more present in the third mocha, so that extracted more unpleasant compounds from the coffee. And you can see this from the extraction percentage of the third mocha, basically the higher between the all four. With the mocha pot, I always suggest an extraction rate between the 22–23%, and this to get the right sweetness and also flavor balance. So 25% is a bit too much for me. Saying this, you can guess that the best coffee was the one from the second mocha. In fact, the coffee was sweeter and more balanced compared to the others. The fourth was slightly over, but overall acceptable. So for the coffee I used, I found the best result with 120 grams of water at room temperature inside the boiler. Of course, this won't be the case for every single coffee, because of the different roasting profile, the different blend and also origin. But I noticed, based on the coffee you brew, you can understand how you should place the water inside the boiler. The coffee I use in this video is a medium dark roast blend, very soluble and easy to extract. That's why with 140 grams of water, I over-extracted. So here is the important thing that you need to get from this video. For dark roast coffee, I suggest placing less water inside the boiler and at room temperature. To be more accurate and consistent, you can use a scale like I do to measure the water and also the coffee. In this way, you get the right sweetness from the coffee without over-extracting it, and also you will get a good intensity with the coffee that will be less watery. With light roast coffee, I suggest a full boiler with a level of water until the valve. Of course, it can be at room temperature or hot water. The higher temperature will definitely help to extract more solids from the coffee in case the coffee is not very soluble. That could depend on the varietals, but you know that you have a way to push this extraction. The coffee will be less intense, but with the right sweetness. If you brew light roast coffee with less water, you will get, yes, a good intensity, but you risk to under-extract the coffee, meaning that it could taste sour. With a medium roast, I could suggest something in between, like 130 grams of water at room temperature. Then if you need that extra push, you can warm up the water. In this way you have a higher extraction, but also you will maintain the good intensity that you like. Placing less water in the boiler can also be useful in case you want to enjoy your coffee with milk, because it will give you the right intensity to pair the coffee with your favorite milk. Finally, one piece of advice. Water is a very important ingredient when we are going to make coffee. So a good quality of water is essential to make sure that we achieve a good quality coffee. So that's why I always suggest using filtered water. Then it depends on where are you from. If you are lucky enough to live in a country with a good quality tap water, you can just use that. I hope this video was helpful to understand how to play with the water variable in the Moka pot boiler. I know there were a lot of numbers, but I wanted to give you the full information about it. If you have any questions, of course, you can drop them in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you in my next videos, and in the meantime, I wish you a wonderful day and delicious coffee. Ciao!